Sound asleep. All right, so I lost everyone. Well, that's my just my luck. Now, you're much older too. How's your husband? How's your kids? You know that I got married too, and lucky that you found someone to make you feel secure. Oh, and we lie beneath the tears and hold it on in your lips. Good morning. Okay, so God is going to go somewhere. Yeah, I think so, Dallas. I think there's some real risks. They could step in it. Here's the risks I see. I just mentioned them, but I think the criminals might have control over the stock price. I think there's always a risk that the deal flow they're looking at might run away. And there's the risk in the short run of a lot of selling and tax loss selling by the end of the year. But offsetting that, you've got this guy, Peter Board's on the board. You've got Wales behind it. You've got one pissed off son of a bitch in Brent's son. He's not going to, I don't think he's ever going to believe the smiling faces on Wall Street ever again. And I don't blame him. It was ASPA that did this deal. You've got a backlog of, as I just said, 2, 3, 4, 5 cream of the crop technology deals that can be rolled into collective audience for the platform of data logic. And those are all lined up. And with a guy like Peter Boards there with his background, and Brent, I think those deals can get negotiated and done. As you know, my opinion, any deal announced that's a letter of intent or non-binding, the criminals will start destroying the currency and bust the deal. So the key will be for us to wait till those deals are announced as finalized deals. I think that's the first quarter of next year. And then Dallas, the revenue, and we forget it all, but let me see if it's here. I may not. It may not be here, but let's see if it is. The Q2 results for Logic were almost 5 million for the quarter revenues, up 37% sequentially. They signed up a new major client, and it might not be in this press release, but they made it clear that they think they can get to 70 million run rate in revenue exiting this year. And I think it was on calls. It might be on another release. My own opinion, that'll be delayed a little bit because of this cock up, but it's coming. 100 million. They'll get to 200 million. These are big milestones. So yeah, I think CAUD in the long run is going to go places. In the short run, which is why I made this little video with your tolerance, I think CAUD could have a catalyst from buy-ins of shares that should not have been sold. I think it could have a catalyst in the short run of announcing their new management team. It could have a catalyst in the short run of just putting their narrative out there, just putting a PowerPoint presentation out there. And it could have a short run bounce because they raised some plain vanilla, safe, friendly money that doesn't have as a goal the absolute destruction of the company, which is, in my opinion, what those two hedge funds did. They're just fronts for the criminals. It's pretty obvious what happened. So that's my answer, Dallas. Is that Jenny L? Hey, Jenny, Rebecca. How are you feeling? Are you okay? I know everybody's been praying for you, and I have, but don't count on my prayers. I try, but I'm probably also pretty trying to the good Lord above. Hey, Dr. McLovin. Hey, Ruby. Well, waiting on the LGIQ merger. That was a Freudian slip. Only they can save this stock. Every day it's lower. I reread the, it was just before the proxy statement on the filings. Logic also signed a VWAP deal, I think for $2.5 million. And that gave license. You know where I stand on this. That gave license for the counterfeiters, the criminals, to just destroy the stock. Others think, hey, it's just legal short selling. I think they're out of their mind, but hey. So they've been selling off that logic because when they get this contract, I think the shady lawyers deliver it in triplicate and multiplicate around Wall Street, and the flooding of counterfeit starts. My understanding, Crossbones, is that Logic turned down Privco, which was worth 40, 50, 60 cents a share to you. There are more shares out now, partly because of the financing, partly because they had to pay the trades. So instead of 105 million, we're now at 147 million shares outstanding for Logic. The shell, already been divorced from everything else. So it's just sitting there as a shell. I get conflicting information. On the one hand, I hear it could be announced this week, the new reverse merger candidate. I also understand it could be in January. Who knows? I spoke to Brent and gave my opinion. He didn't say he'd take it or not, but I gave my opinion. I'd rather wait until the deal, when they announce it, is signed as it is announced as a definitive deal, maybe pending audit. An audit is normal, and they're going to pass the audit. But I don't want to see a letter of intent or a non-binding. I want to see an agreement that's definitive. The only escape clause is a financial physical, which would probably take 6 weeks to 90 days. But once that's announced, and however it's announced, when there was 105 million shares outstanding, I understood that could be worth 60, 70, 80 cents a share to us. Because there's more shares out, I'm going to use 40, 50, 60. And so Crossbones, if they announce this deal, it'll depend on how they roll it out, what it says, timing, if it's definitive or not, or if it's strong enough, only escape clause is the audit, those kind of things. It too could catch out criminals who counterfeited shares, in my opinion. And you could see the stock go above 40 cents, go to $1, go to $1.25, go to 50. in a scramble to cover, or the criminals have the Shell's price totally under control. But remember, the new co that's coming in to the Shell required as part of the deal, as I understand it, that there be a reverse split. Now, our experience with reverse splits is to not default the toxic, smiling faces, criminals, dilutive deals. This is different. This is to get what should be. If this is worth 50 cents a share to us, just working backwards, that's 73 million to, let's say we only get 10%. Let's say we get an eighth, 12.5% of this company. That's 588 million. That's it's a 500 million to 600 million dollar valuation. Now, of course, there's risks. That might be a fantasy in some deal maker's mind, or that might be the real valuation. We'll find out. But the reverse split, let's say it's 50 to 1. All of a sudden, let's use 500 million. You'll have 3 million shares outstanding. Let's call it 5 million just for accounting issues. And if it's $500 million valuation times 0.125 divided by 5 million, we might have a $12.5 stock. If it's higher numbers, higher percentages, a different ratio, it could be higher than that. So, Crossbones, I don't expect that they will effect any reverse split until the reverse merger is effected to prevent the criminals from destroying the company. It's my opinion. There'll be new management eyes that will go through the whole thing. Oh, they wouldn't let that happen. Oh, they don't do it. There's systems in place. It's all legal shorting. If they take that view, then there's some risk. If they take the view, no, we're going to do it so the shorts are caught out, Crossbones, you could see a trade up in logic beyond the 40 cents a share. But to play it conservatively, that's my estimate. It could be much higher. My estimate of 40 cents. To play it conservatively, as logic trades up once this is announced, if and when it's announced, I would just layer money out. Whether you choose 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents. They will continue to drive it lower. The criminals are in charge of both stocks right now. The question is, will Brent Sun and his intrepid team fight back with a narrative, with a story, with the help of Univest in the case of CAUD, with reverse merger candidates, roll-up candidates? Will they execute the plan they always had? With input from these technology gurus and money, it's a reasonable risk reward bet. Well, we're all mad at the CEOs and I'm mad at CEOs most of the time, the ones that sign these deals. The system is crap. It's all fraud. It's all fraud. Title of the video a bit wonky. Oh, it should say Monday. Whatever. I typed quickly. By the way, your comment is a bit wonky too. Well, when Ham comes on, we'll have more viewers. Well, that's right. If it gets back to even 16 cents or 14 or 15, that, I think that's where it was trading for a while. That's 3x. It's a trade. I believe unless the news out of Logic the Shell is just so dramatically exciting, which it could be. I think Logic the Shell is a trade. And if you get a rally up, if we're blessed with a short squeeze, which will be miniature, but it could happen. Just take your money off the table. Hey, Jenny L. Social Watch. E-Trade. Oh, I'm going to buy a new computer. E-Trade tells me Liberty Transfer that's for GTII you're talking about. Yeah, GTII. Remember, Chuck, the whole goal of that restricted stock distribution for free was to trap the system. That's what they're trying to do. So these complications, rather than being frustrated, rather than saying, oh, can you believe what's happening? You of all, not you personally, but you as an audience of all know what's going on. You know this shit is happening. You know this. You know this. Hey, buddy, how you doing? You know this crap is happening. So, you shouldn't be surprised. I think the more they prevaricate, dawdle, and try to confuse, the more it shows that the strategy of giving out a restricted share as dividend could pay dividends. Well, MMAT is in trouble because of their financing, and I don't think they're out of it. CAUD at 313, the selling goes on. I think it's counterfeit selling and criminal selling. Others think it's all just good customers selling stock they can locate out later. I don't know. I'm tired of fighting that battle. Over the last week or so, 20 million shares have traded, when just today, the remainder of 3.5 million shares, plus the 800,000, total of maybe 4.5 million shares. Yet they have all this volume. It's under criminal attack. But let's look at MMAT. I think MMAT is going much lower. And I've been saying that since it was 20 cents. I've been saying since it was higher. It's 9 cents. I think they'll drive it much lower, much lower. It's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. The board and the lawyers don't know jack shit about the stock market or creating wealth. Lawyers are just leeches. They just charge a lot of money. And if you don't, they're like prostitutes or therapists. Just put the money on the dresser, honey, and then you get your business done. So, yeah, it'll go lower. I'm sorry, Dallas. I think that'll go under 5 cents. It may even go down to a penny. I don't see the answer for MMAT. They're finance the criminals probably want to seller box that stock and then strip the technology, give it to the Chinese, give it to the Russians, the Iranians. No one in our country cares anymore about our country. Now, offsetting that, I think MMAT is a great story, but you've got a bunch of cover your ass people on the board and lawyers. So I wouldn't expect anything imaginative coming out of MMAT. And then you're going to have tax loss selling. So it's a tough situation. But the criminals affect many stocks, and lawyers don't see it, board members don't see it, CEOs don't see it. So you need to be with the CEOs that do see it. Fingers borrow interest is up to 91%. That's amazing. I'm torn. Pull it all out. Don't be torn. Don't be torn. Just get out. Just get out. Really, just get out. Use your best trading strategy over the next few days, maybe weeks. Just get out. Get out of Finger, get out of GTII, and just get out. Get out of everything, Gen Z. Just sell it all. You don't have to stay. If you have something left, my one recommendation, which will be volatile, it is manipulated, and things like Bitcoin and XRP and all those will compete, but put all of your money in silver. Don't sell it until it gets above $100 an ounce. And in my opinion, don't sell it at all. Hold on. I think there'll be a time coming, Gen Z honesty, where you can buy a house, modest one, for 1 ounce of silver. There will be a panic. And silver, gold, I don't know about platinum. These things will become very valuable. So Gen Z, get out of the market. Sell Fingers, sell GTII, sell Logic, sell CAUD. This, if anyone's taping me, I'm responding to one person. And if you want to leave your money somewhere, silver. Mark Maddox, who owns Logic's interest in Go Logic? CAUD or Logic? Logic, the shell still owns Logic's interest in Go Logic. So that's another thing I haven't focused on, and I don't want to right now because frankly I don't have enough of the specifics. But Go Logic is cheap. Go Logic has a similar upgrade in the board and management team. Go Logic is spinning its fintech business off to recruiters.com, which will be a NASDAQ, the shell recruiters.com, which will be a NASDAQ company. And then Go Logic maintains its focus. It'll be a shell briefly in Southeast Asia, but blink, 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 blink. Univest, 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 Univest. So Logic, the shell Logic, still owns its shares in Go Logic, which could be really valuable. Could be really valuable at $10. Could be worth a lot. Hey, Ryan Sartell. I think there'll be a finger special dividend. Will it be this week? I'd say 50-50. I'm not optimistic that it'll make the stock go up right away. But I would be optimistic that it will make the stock go up at some point. I also think that Finger's in a unique position with Univest that they could distribute a special dividend and simultaneously merge a company in and maybe float it, put the whole thing on the New York Stock Exchange. I would prefer that to NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a joke, but it's not a comedy the way the over-the-counter markets are. And the NYSE is just an irony, I guess. I don't know how to make it have a gradient. You are going on. I'm going to control banning you forever, but I won't. It's going to be temporary. I've made clear, if you want to blame everything on Brent's son and not trust him, you get out of Logic, get out of CAUD, get out of GoLogic, just run away. But Brent's son was not in charge of Aubrey SPAC. That was an Aubrey SPAC deal. And it was somebody who made that decision. And it was their so-called financial advisory firm, their investment bank, and the two hedge funds, and probably lawyers that did that. Next time you come up and you brown nose me by saying you're with me and we just have a difference, if you create FUD on this live again, I'll ban you permanently. Right now, you're just in timeout. I don't know anything about Blink. I'll look it up just to even see what the price is. It's a charging company. It's up 40 cents. High $15, low $3. They had third quarter revenue of 43 million. It beats by 30 cents. It's pretty good. Well, Roaring Kitty, I mean, that's as cursory a look as I can give, but everything does look good for Blink. You know, William. You trust me. Well, load up, but in your mind have two thoughts. One is this is a trade. When it runs out, I'm getting out. Which separate thought is I'm going to wait 6 to 18 months. I think Brent has a goal of making it worth $50 in 2 years to make it $1 billion company. And what happens is once that narrative gets out there, once you have people like Peter Boards telling his friends, once there's actual PowerPoint presentations and they visit conferences, they tell their story, the market will bring forward those potential results, and you could see $50 much more quickly than 2 years from now. But anyway, trade versus long-term hold. The trade part, trade it or trade half, Feel free to trade. Don't be diamond hands. Also know that the criminals are in charge right now, and they may get it lower in the short run. But the short run, I mean 2 more weeks in November, 4 weeks in December. I know there might be a week I left out, but we have Thanksgiving and we have Christmas. So the tendency to drive it down is going to come to an end. Yeah, they got it down to $3, of course. It's almost like anything I say on this channel, they're going to sell off. But Brenda, I have mine now, and I'm not selling. I'm hoping for announcement on management, announcement on the strategy, possibly announcement on friendly financing if it's necessary, possibly announcement on the deals that are to come. And wouldn't it be brilliant? Wouldn't it? All right, let's see. Let's see. Hello? Yeah, do you want to come on and just make all the girls scream and all the guys want to be just like you? 3:15. All right, I'll tell everyone. All right. All right, guys, 6 minutes, you get hamster. Hi, Susan. What happens if shareholders vote out the board of MMAT? Well, Latinum, who votes the counterfeit shares? The crooks. That's my point of view. I don't think they'll get voted out. As long as they have a docile board and a compliant board, a credulous board, they won't vote them out, because the real shares versus counterfeit shares, it'll be a vote like it was in Argentina or Brazil, one of them. So but in answer to your question, they'd have to get a new board members. I think it would be a case where the new board would be appointed until the next shareholders meeting, and then there'd be a vote. I got my dividend and still get the chaos it caused. Anyway, Mike, what would you rather, that you got your dividend and the stock was trading for 10 cents, or you got your dividend and it's making the back offices squirm? I know what I would want. All right, I'll put that other side up. Yeah, Lou Grasso, I've been studying M3. I think I'm going to go with a MacBook Pro, which is expensive. I looked at the all-in-one iMac, and it's anything's better than what I have, and it would probably be good. But the one caution is, if I'm going to be creating videos, and I don't know what I'm doing, it might not be up to speed. And then I also am looking at the Mac Minis, the what is it called, the M2 Pro. But I haven't made my decision yet. I'm leaning towards a MacBook Pro 16, which is heavy as shit, but portable. That's what I'm. And anyway, I'll make my decision soon. I've got to get together enough money, enough cash, and I'm working on that. Jay Roach, I'll let you have your time in the sun. How much more time do you need? Jay, the reason restricted shares were given to you for free as a special stock dividend is because the warrant as a special stock dividend was causing a squeeze a year ago until everyone decided, hey, let's go over to COSM, something nobody knew anything about. And I congratulate the Greek. He took 35 million out of the market, probably made money trading in his own account. So the whole point, Jay Roach, is to try to cause trouble in the back offices so that a Fidelity has to make a choice. Are we going to give Jay Roach counterfeit shares while Wes Christian can go to court and get a claim on our records? Or are we going to stall and are we going to say it's not tradable? Because there's a legend on it. Are we going to take our sweet ass time hoping for a solution, hoping we can buy in some stock so that Jay Roach can trade his shares? Jay, I'll make a call to GTII. I'll tell them, please they already put out a blanket letter lifting the restriction, but I'll ask them to go further. Jay Roach wants to be able to trade his shares. Can you give up already on trapping the system and forcing a reckoning? Jay Roach would rather be able to sell his stock than see the potential of a short squeeze. I'll do that after the call today. I'll speak to my contacts and we'll see if we can at least get it tradable. We'll give up on trying to cause a short squeeze or a reckoning. Oh, I haven't been on Twitter. I think I posted one thing. I will tell you that Sam Chung at Lind Partners went to X, Twitter, and got some of my tweets. Once they do it, I can't see what they are. Eliminated because she claims that her picture on the website is copyrighted. Well, I will tell you, Sam Chung, if you're watching, there was no indication it was copyrighted when I downloaded your picture. The picture was there for public use. Lind Partners is a public entity, and so are you. But anyway, I don't know if my Twitter page is being copied. I haven't been very active. I'm being serious about something? I don't know. What's my opinion on GTII? Finger first. Finger is the least risk speculative stock you can own. Finger could squeeze tomorrow. It could squeeze in January. When Finger goes, GTII will go. That's my opinion. Valepsis that sounds like a James Bond code. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. God, my hand. My hand is killing me. All right, hang on. Okay, you should be on.
All right, everyone. I finished my Picasso. It's taken 3 days. 30 hours of work to put together, and I sent it to the enforcement agency that I've been assured they're going to do everything in their power to end this corruption. So I can't tell them what to do. Of course, I did say just follow the sell tickets and arrest one of them, and that'll be the end of it. So let's see what they do. I outlined everything. I had a little segment about MMTLP, GTII, Finger Motion, GameStop. I listed them all, but I penciled it down. I drilled it down to get to Finger Motion because we're getting the fraud in real time right now. And what that means is with Elon Musk recently putting up about the short and distort, he did it very clear. I presented the 3 attacks by the shorts in Finger Motion. Always when the stock was ready to go up, they began the attacks. Very easy to see. I talked about Mark Brazil going after the people that host Capybara's website, being based out of Brazil. I'm sure Mark will give us more details on that when he can. So we'll get the names of all those people. But in the report, I wrote down they will never show up. And so I get the way to go after them is go after Benzinger and Jason and his post on his site. Jason is a content provider to all the big brokerage firms, and I'm sure he makes a nice living from getting them paying him for his information. I think once Mark slams him, he will give up whoever posted or gave him that story about Finger Motion with no name and the revenue numbers completely wrong. And it's so funny, on his site, Finger Motion has one analyst as benchmark, yet they were quoting an analyst who said the number was $14 million for the quarter, which was completely false. So again, that's an angle to go after. I presented that, all the points about it, how much money was stolen from the attack from 715 down to 458 on 4 million shares. I think it was 4 million shares. That is equivalent to about $140 million loss. Then the next attack by the report on Benzinger about the earnings, that was down $1.25. So it's another $60 million. These guys just basically looting at will. They're not cashing out, but the damage to the public company was, $60 million and $140 million. All right, that's all that we need to prove is that we have a damage model. And then I'm sure Jason and Benzinger doesn't want to get hit with that freight train coming down the road. All right, this is a different angle than West going after the prime brokers and the brokerage firms and all that nonsense. We're going after, they made a mistake with these stories, these paid-for stories, and they made a real big mistake in using Benzinger because that's on the home turf, and that was a big part of the story. I included all the old stories, but I ended it with the force protection, a military company, and as paid military people, most of these people are. That who could stand to watch anyone destroy a company that protects our troops? I gave them the link from Deep Capture. I showed them highlighted the fails to deliver. You can see the big blue spikes when they fails to deliver spike up, like they did in Finger Motion when we got to 712. That's when the attacks come. That's when they come. When they got the most they can make, they pile in and then they drive it lower. All right. So I outlined that whole thing. I made it short and sweet for you, but I outlined it in real baby formula. I'm trying to think of all the other things. I had Elon Musk in there. I had the breakdown. I actually threw everybody under the bus saying that at least use the yellow marker. And when determining a counterfeit share, right now there is nothing to determine who gets what. I also put the story about Dole Foods, and we talked about how a public company, their information is the most important thing. Everything has to be perfect, yet Dole Foods has too many shareholders. How did that happen? All right. So again, Wall Street is about everything needs to match. All the numbers have to match, and yet they don't. Nothing matches. All right. So I broke it down. Trust me, I can't post it, but it's I think it was 7-8 pages of stuff, and I gave them the best of the best, and we will get our day because I've been told they're on it. So again, what does that mean? They may get stopped. And just a funny story, go back and way back in time. All right. People could be asking me, how did I become this, whatever I am, whatever you want to call it. Believe me, I don't want this stupid job. It's awful. But again, I was a pretty big figure on the street, and I exposed these guys. Everyone attacks you. It's awful. They come after you. You name it. I caught every SEC commissioner. And just to go back in time, I was the guy who did the first dividends on the street. I caught everybody. I had the discrepancies. And I don't want to blame anybody, but the lawyers blew the case. And we were kicked out with prejudice. And I had all the proof. That shows you how powerful Wall Street is when they go after the judges. All right. So again, I'm not a rookie. I've been doing this a long time. They destroyed my company, everything I was doing, and I vowed to get it back. So I'm not going away. If I was a criminal, would I be going to the Secret Service and go back in time? For those who don't know, I went to Morgenthal's office. He was I think he was the district attorney in New York City. I'm not sure what his title was. He was the top guy. And my friend was an FBI guy back then. He's the guy who's in the, I always post up at the sign, the Wall Street Court counterfeiting. He took me in. And the first thing he said, William, you're going in here, the first person they investigate is you. That's number one. I had no fear, and I went in. All right. Morgenthau got back to me, his office, and said this was above their head, and this was kicked up to the SEC. All right. So again, I went in a circle, but I went to the highest enforcement. I told them that they were destroying New York, stealing from New York investors, the city, whatever, and I did it. So trust me, I've tried everything under the sun. I don't know how this continues. I don't know how everybody looks the other way. But again, I've had enough. So I'm taking it to any level. And what the Secret Service would not be captured. And from what I gathered, their eyes are wide open and want to attack this. All right. It's counterfeiting. Stick with that word. I described naked short selling as a word that these guys attach to it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, trying to make it sound better, look better, confuse us. But it's just counterfeiting. We give them our money and we get nothing in return. All right. So I can't stress.
Do you put the lipstick on before you eat the pig or before you cook it?
No, they're making the pig look good. And that's so I believe me, I'm not great at composing this stuff, but I really did compose a Picasso here. I really do believe it. I outlined so much information, going back in times, links, videos. I pointed out the criminals. I said, we have the criminals. I showed them the videos of the truck 12 times at the SEC with dates. We did everything for whistleblowing, excuse me, everything. There's not much more we can do. We called the SEC numerous times. Obviously, no one can ever see how many times we called. And that's why we put the truck out there, because the truck is verification that it was there. And that's why we parked it and took the pictures of it in front of the SEC. And William, you were nice enough to jump in a bunch of those pictures. So again,
I'm going to copyright every single one of them.
I thought you were running by. I says, who is this guy? He's always in every photo. Again, William, I guess I can't thank you enough and everybody here. I really do believe the shit's going to hit the fan. People are going to get locked up. It's an easy crime. Follow the money. I gave them the story with the big frog. I forget the name of the stupid story, but that has a $27 billion.
It was Ansem Funds.
Whatever, right? It's all right there. How they do it. Everything's, if they want to get a deep dive. And I ended it just by, again, using the force protection story. And the easiest way to expose the crime is just subpoena FINRA and the SEC for the holders, the beneficial holders of a company. I outlined what the DTC owns and what the brokerage firms own. That's the discrepancy. I gave them the videos, the supply and demand that Pat Byrne had put together nicely. I showed them the Sedona, removed the name. Sedona is Finger. Amro is Lynn Partners. And the naked short was Rhino Advisors. We don't know who Lynn Partners is using. That's the piece of puzzle we're missing. We are missing the bank accounts. We do have the prime broker, Jeffries. So we have a lead going into there to see their history. And if those who think that what they've done in the past, all right, through Jeffries, again, making short selling tickets do not go away. I mean, these guys think it's going away. Nothing goes away on Wall Street. All right. The paper trail is here. They can play all the games they want. At the end of the day, everything they sold has to be bought back. And I just started watching the stock maybe a half an hour ago when I called you up because I had sent the information out with the help of a few people because I'm an idiot. I don't know how to attach it and open it up. I'm not too bright with that stuff, but I got it done. I broke my ass getting it done for everybody. And what else can I say? I did not work when Florida State was playing, so I did take off. But yesterday I could care less. Until Jameis Winston came in, Ace brought it to my attention that I had to stop working and watch that stupid game. Other than that, that's what I did since Friday. All right, I could have made it. This crime is so big in so many companies. I put the story about Root. It was the biggest IPO in Ohio. Ohio. It was a $6-point-something billion IPO. The whole company's worth $140 million now. After the destruction, the reverse, it's down to $150 million. If that doesn't shake you up, I don't know what to say. And my question is, well, where did the $5 billion go? Well, it went to the criminals, right out of the country. And the people in Ohio lose jobs. The company has to cut back on their expenditures instead of growing. I've outlined many things. Any questions, William?
Yeah, there are some. Which stock is going to go first?
Well, there's an interesting take here. You know, I'm hearing rumblings in GTII along with Finger Motion. You know, so I truly believe Finger Motion's going first, but you know, sometimes when you least expect it, the other one goes. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
One guy, go ahead.
Yeah. I says, like you always say, the market will tell you. That's it. Okay. You know, I don't know anything, but I'm hearing things are happening. That's all I know.
One guy's asking, how do they sell shares counterfeit or that don't exist? Do they use some sort of number on the certificate?
Well, no one ever asked for it.
Is it a fake number?
There is no number. You sell the stock. They say they sold it. Let's say they sold it through a market maker. The market maker will write on the ticket that he sold it to Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley bought it. If Morgan Stanley wanted to settle it, they would just call up the market maker who sold it to him. But no one ever does. So the stock just floats into the system, banging around. If any of the brokerage firms were to call in that fails to deliver, this crime wouldn't exist. That's it. If you don't deliver it, you get bought in. That's how it works. But no one does that, and Wall Street is protecting itself, and that's why we need to go out and get someone that's going to arrest everybody. I put information about captured regulators. I put information about back offices, stock loan being looked at. I put the story about the DOJ going after short sellers. I've outlined everything. And I missed only a couple of things now that I'm thinking about it. But I wanted to get it out because the next thing is my...
Just save those couple of things for when they call you. You can give a new idea.
Once I get rolling, the heads are going to pop off because I have so much information. You know, I got a big JFK head. You know, I got a big head. It's gonna be spilling out. But again, they could sit there and say everything will be here. They could say X. I can answer it in a second. Whatever, any direction they want to go, I can answer it.
I like this guy's probably giving me shit, but I like his answer. Now, not legal advice before we get to this guy's comment is asking.
Listen, legal advice gave me a nice little segment that I put into my document. I like to thank him for his time. It's not legal opinion. It's not legal opinion, but it's a nice lead into the GTI security fraud through their prime broker. Thank you again, Richard. It's not legal advice.
He wants to know if Finger will squeeze before 4 o'clock.
Yes, 4 o'clock in China time. I don't know.
So this guy, this
Listen, Richard is the same pattern. Every day they try to push it down. I can't even say it anymore. It's so stupid. These guys are sitting here. Whoever's doing this, the volume slows down, and guess what happens, everybody? We can see the fraud in slow motion. Go home, put your TV on, put it on slow motion. This is what you're watching right now. So if anyone says to you, how do you believe there's 200 million shares? You're so full of shit, you stupid ass. And I would say, hey, I'm with you. Let's make believe it's 10 million. I see only 400,000 shares traded. Let's cover the 10 million. Let's see what happens. No one has an answer. The data shows us it's 200 plus million. I stopped counting again. It just doesn't, it just keeps going up. It goes up 1 million a week, easy. They're doing 300,000 a day, 400,000 a day on big days. So it's 2 million a week. It's 2 million a week. It's, another 8 million a month. What else? They're not buying it. That's for shit sure. So again, that's how you know. And the reason that this is a life-changing situation is what I just described. They have no choice. They got it until someone grabs them out by their hair. And the only thing I ask for our new friends is give me a jacket. Let me come with you on the raid. You can use me to knock down the door. I said, get me through the door. Just give me this, the Secret Service jacket and throw me into the door. I don't really care. Let's go get them. That's what I said. And they thought that was quite funny.
This person, I think, is a bit confused, but it's a good topic, so I'll let you try to answer it. Some tweet, maybe it was yours, said that it's costing $9 billion a day. Is that all the naked shorts in GTII and Finger?
No, that is 9 billion a day for the whole exchange. Susan Trimbath posted that 9 billion a day. It turns out to be like 27 trillion at the end of the year. And that's what they posted in the story with the big frog. And the data's right there. Remember, the DTC, these guys have data on this stuff. And Susan Trimbath worked at the DTC, so she knows exactly where to get it from their financials, and she put it up. 20 years ago, it was 3 million a day. Now it's 9 billion a day. What's the trend looks like it's going up to me. That's how it looks to me. Yeah. That is not GTII. That is not Finger Motion. This is all the equity markets, all the companies together. Now, if you want to ask the right question, what happens if that 9 billion a day is concentrated on a few stocks? All right, imagine it. Just go look at the stocks like Etsy, went down from $130 to $60, ETSY, right? $62, $130 it was. So imagine if they were concentrated there or concentrated in Tesla, or whatever it may be. Concentration of those fails to deliver will drive any stock down. Tesla broke 200 the other day, down to 190. Right?
What if it's in one of the banks when they announce they're taking losses?
They could put anyone out. You saw it in the video. The video was 505. They drove it to 390. Now it's back up to 490. Let me tell you something. You know how many people fainted in the middle of that whole thing? That's what they try to do. They need volatility. That I didn't put in there. Volatility is what they look for to get people to panic. I did post that the fake stories are something they run interference for. So when they do the fake story, they attack it. And those days, I put the dates down, October 3rd and the other days. Those days, the tickets, the sell tickets really need to be looked at because those are the days that you can see the big volume and selling at the market. And that's the first one was driven down to 458 from 707, I think it was. You can see the attack. We all watched it, selling, endless selling, just keep selling it. They wanted to break it always down to $1. And you say, wow, did they ever do that before? TIO, I believe it was $5. They had the shorts trapped here. They had Hindenburg come out with a fake story, drove the stock down, and now the company can't seem to get its footing to go back up again. And I think they hired Wes Christian to go after them. And Wes Christian told me, now that I remember, Wes Christian told me that, forgot the name of the Wainwright, that brokerage firm Wainwright that does a lot of these pipes and secondary deals.
Yeah.
They reached out to their friends, told them all to go short TIO, and then the company came out and Wainwright called the company up, and the company told them no. So it was a mad rush to panic covering. They took it up to 5.
Wow.
But whoever was in there was so dead, they needed to come out with Hindenburg to come out with a story to save them and drive it back down. That's the story in TIO. Wainwright.
They rarely stay surprised, I guess.
Right.
They can
Like
do
no
anything.
one could figure out who was doing what, but that's what happened. And they called the company Wainwright, wanting them to do a secondary, and the company said no. So they got punished because they didn't do the secondary, and they needed to attack it because the shorts were choking. That's another way they attack you. But we're bringing in police, guns, and badges that are going to be brought up to speed every minute, every tick, every day going forward. Until they get a knock on the door, we're not going to stop. So they can keep playing the game. And I think it's going to start moving quickly because now the information's out there and it's very easy to see. Very easy to read, excuse me.
So this is an interesting question in a way. Why would anyone real short when they can just counterfeit?
Because at any given time, if you don't have the proper connections, they'll buy you in.
Yeah, you've got to have this interlaced.
Yeah, you
team.
have to have connections where everyone, your prime broker, everyone's looking. Hey, listen, if anyone has a prime broker that'll let me make a short, let me know. I'll raise 10 million and start slaughtering companies myself. Why not? It's easy. Once you have to get all the back end tied up first. That's the whole thing.
You already talked about this, I think. What's Ham's take on your conversation with Bongino? What are the next steps?
So I already spoken with the top people. I was told I was going to see him. They made a call. I went in. I gave him my name. He knew he was expecting me, and we had a conversation. I didn't go through details, but the details were, hey, XYZ told me to tell you to call him. I told him that I was a whistleblower, that I had the biggest counterfeiting story ever. And we trying to get this after getting exposed to get it on his network so he could save his people that watch him. That was it.
Okay. How long do you think it'll take to see someone go to jail?
I think it's going to happen fast.
Fast.
If you, I don't know how to say it. If you were in my shoes, you would know that this is going to move fast. What else can I say? So unless no one's doing anything wrong and we're all nuts, this is gonna end shortly. Someone's getting a knock. All right, someone's gonna get the call. That's what I believe. Again, we're trying to save everybody. I played pickleball the other day, and people ask me, "What do you do?" And I say, believe it or not, I'm the guy trying to save your pension money. And they look at me like I was crazy. How are you doing that? It's never mind. I can't explain it. So again, think about that this has to come down to us, William, people like you, Ace, Richard, everybody that's involved, all the people in MMTLP. Look what we have to do. Look at the effort to get to expose this thing. And we are. William, our handouts were all over DC. We went to the SEC enforcement conference. You don't think they know about finger motion? You're out of your mind. I'm telling you that the SEC is going to be forced by these higher-ups, the people that were guns and badges. They know that the SEC is civil. They know. And they said the same thing. We're here to lock people up. And the word is counterfeiting. Counterfeiting, and how big is it offshore? Well, the story with the frogs got it at 27 trillion, right? That no one's keeping track of offshore, correct? No one has the reach to follow those trades offshore. Well, this is what's going to unwind it because someone is. And just so you understand that the law enforcement that I'm talking to, has a building full of auditors, forensic accountants, and they will follow the money trail
Yeah, I like
all over the
that.
globe. All over the globe. Any bank they have access to. Or all over
And
the
any
globe.
time they'll go backwards in time.
They understand the whole thing. They know. I said that's what you got to do is follow the money because that's what we specialize in.
So not legal advice says this call
Yeah.
has the same pattern. Your calls always have the same pattern.
I listen. There's not much to say here for a while. I keep trying to tell you.
Is there something
But I think
happening
that-
with Finger before the 17th?
I heard that there was an event before the 17th. Again, the event that I know of is I'm going to the top legal enforcement in the country. How many people want to come join in that building? All right.
Is this the first time the Secret Service has heard of counterfeiting
Yes,
stock?
100%. The guys I was talking to, they didn't understand it, but they do now. They understood pump and dumps. They understand the reverse, but this is the other way.
I don't understand this one, but you would. If UM had a better QB, FSU wouldn't have lost.
We didn't lose.
He says he didn't lose, so there you go. I don't know.
Wait a second. I watched the game twice. I don't remember losing.
How is that possible? Does it mean the counterfeiters have higher up connections?
Yes, they do. But unfortunately, we're going above them. Whoever their connections are, whether it's the SEC, FINRA, dragging their feet, Ken Griffin, looking this, whatever it may be, we're going above everyone here. We've gone above everyone. They said it to me. This is the top. And I think force protection, going from 30 to 2 and acquired at 562 by General Dynamics, a military company destroyed, and I have the data. Just go look at it. It's right there. If you can let them destroy military companies, what chance does anything else happen? And that proof is right there.
How come Wes isn't announcing his every move and his every success and keeping us up to date?
I don't keep track of Wes. I don't do that. So I don't want to say, you got anything today? How about tomorrow? Could you do this tomorrow? I gave up on doing that years ago. Lawyers do what they do, and you just got to bite your tongue and just, let it play out. When he has it, it'll come out. I think you should follow Mark Bazile. Mark has figured out a quicker way to get discovery on different techniques. Like, for example, the finger motion short and distort has left us tremendous opportunities to expose the criminals. We know that Capybara is operating out of Brazil. The New York Stock Exchange research capital of the world is Brazil. Everybody else got any stocks that comes out of Brazil? So basically, they put it on a credit card, whatever they did, they pay the bill, and then they shit all over it from offshore. The shorts attack it, and the shorts would say to a regulator knocking on the door, "Oh, I only did it because of the report. The company was failing. That's why." And that's the cover that they try to use on us. That's their game. Oh my God, look at this company. It's failing. It's 14 million in revenue. It's down. They reported 9, a 40% drop. Meanwhile, there is no analyst. There's only one analyst, and that was Benchmark. And Benchmark is the only analyst reported. So I don't know where this other guy came up with this stuff that's on Benzinger, the no name. But when Benzinger gets served, he's risking losing his whole business if he's going to cover up for anybody. So that's his business. If he wants to and not give up the name, and I'm sure that Mr. Bazile will attack him, drag him into court. And the only thing I would do if he wants to fight it is I'm going to have everybody call up their brokerage firms and tell them to remove Benzinger from their platforms because of fraudulent activity. Because if he did it to finger motion and he let that one just slip by, the fake sell, how many more has he done? I haven't really followed this, but I'm sure we could find another 50 companies at least. So if either he's part of it or he's got to give up whoever is
It
doing
would
it on
seem
the
like
site.
the easiest thing for the regulators to enforce. Just don't put out algorithms on headlines on crappy research. What do you think of Ace's hat?
You got to give him credit. His team's doing well. Not better than my team, Ace. So Aces takes a backseat to mine. My team's 10-0. I don't know what his team is, but you know.
Ham is very consistent and persistent.
And dizzy from doing all this stuff. I'm exhausted. I've been taking 2 to 3 showers a day just to wake up from the middle of it because I'm staring at the same nonsense for 24 years. I'm sick of looking at it. And every time I think of it, I add more to the story, and I could have gone on for 100 years, but I stopped. I gave enough to expose the finger motion people. I jumped on MMTLP. I showed them the criminals in GTII, Gretchen Morgan's story, how these guys belong in jail just from that story, and they're still bouncing around. And I don't know if they got 10 mafia guys standing on the street corner, they locked them all up. We should just tell everybody that the mafia is naked shorting stocks. That'll get the FBI crazy because they hate the mafia. So that may be our next angle. Call the FBI up and tell them the mafia is naked shorting. I've seen them do it. Go get them. Why not? I mean, that's how stupid this whole thing is at this point. And as you can see, I'm looking at the stock now since I've been following it. Nothing is going on. Zero. You can't cut. What are they covering? Nothing. They think that we don't know what's going on now. We're all looking at it. They're trying to make believe that the stock, the whole deal is over with already. But again, they haven't bought back a share. And every day, the volume dries up to 100,000 a day. If they showed 100 a day, it's 500 a week, 2 million a month, 24 million more a year. Just makes it go higher. And the only reason this happens is because the SEC has allowed these guys to commit this fraud. If the SEC would have stopped it, this thing would have been ended with 5 million shares short and not 200 plus million shares. All right, so don't feel guilty about it. I don't. I report it as I see it. The SEC is the person that's created this risk. Same with FINRA, they help it. These guys regulate their friends. So again, if my mom regulated everything I did, I would never got in trouble all these years, right? Cheating on my Spanish test, my math test, my science test, you name it, I cheated on it.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to show you how stupid I am. In high school, I sat next to my friend. He was the #1 student in the school. And I was like so thrilled. I was sitting in a science class and I copied his whole test. He got 100, of course. And I got a 64, scratching my head.
That's some cheating.
I looked at it and I says, man, am I a bad cheater or this guy? And I couldn't see my friend's score. And then I saw he had 100. Of course, I stood up and told the teacher, I have the same answers as him. And the guy was very calm. He goes, oh, they're different tests. Whoops. So that's how stupid I am.
Oh, it was a different test to prevent cheating.
He looked at me. I still remember like it was cool and calm. He looked at me and said, they were different tests. I said, oops. My friend wanted to kill me. Well, anyway, that tells you that all I know is numbers. And if I'm just a numbers guy like this, can you imagine the idiots doing what they're doing? I told you, I'm a dummy. These guys are morons. Because whatever they're doing, riches, not legal advice, it's the same goddamn thing every day. 100 shares back and forth, 100 shares trying to mark it down, don't let it go green, whatever it is, it's the same thing. Listen, I've done everything in my power. Remember, the movie's coming out soon. Also, there's people doing. Frankie Nez just did the guy from Twitter, Frankie Nez. If you want to give a shout out to him, he did an interview. He'll be in it. Out in California, Tom Ronk will be in it. They're working out west, and it's not easy to put it all together, but they are. And we're going to describe what we see. All right, so finger motion and GTII, and we'll get MMTOP in there, and we will expose these idiots as best we can. And we can see it on your TV. You don't have to go anywhere. It'll be a documentary. I think it's going to be 6 parts. I think that's what they said. Hopefully it's all over before the Secret Service comes in, before they even do anything. Get it over with already. We can throw that in the can. That's that video then. Any more questions?
Not really. I mean, you've got some from not
I didn't
legal
think Richard
advice.
is not legal advice or Steve Rosenberg. Anything but that. I'll answer any question but those 2 knuckleheads. I'm only CBM. You know, we've been watching this thing. You know, I heard a story last week that the company was talking to Merck. It popped up. They knocked it back down. How does the company that's working on head and neck cancer, head and neck, I didn't know anything about it until my friend had it, and they cut out his jaw and half his tongue. Okay? It was a brutal surgery. Feeding tubes, you name it. You couldn't speak, you name it. Awful. And today I found a story yesterday about a young actor. I don't know who he was. Maybe 28 years old. I can't remember. He's got brain cancer, diagnosed with brain cancer. Northwest Bio. No one cares. Poor kid, 30-something years old. If you were him, if that were your kid, you'd be screaming, there's got to be something. But no one cares. I have nothing to do with either of those names, so just repeating what I see. And I will repeat it to the feds when I get the chance, which will be shortly. Don't do anything, and your family member's sick, you got to go to a witch doctor because there's no medicine. Go ask Celine Dion about how her life is ending up. All the money in the world, most famous person, has no medicine to treat whatever she has. It's okay. No one cares. They only care about you when you're dead. Matthew Perry, a drug addict, right? Blah, 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 blah. Couldn't save him. Dead. Now everybody cares. Oh, he's such a great guy. When you're dead, they'll talk about you.
Could you do me a favor?
Ugh.
Discuss what was the purpose behind the special dividend of GTII. Would you rather that everything were going smoothly right now, or do you kind of like that it's gumming up the system?
You wanted to gum up the system. I told you I was with the guy from Morgan Stanley, stock loan guy. He says you screw up the whole system doing it.
And people are upset they can't sell their dividend. Should they be upset?
The back offices are lying to you, and everybody gets to see it themselves. So when people post things like that, I forward it to people, and they get it to Wes. There you go. Every time someone says a conversation with Fidelity or this one lying, I forward it.
Oh, good.
So you get, again, this is not going to, I take it all the time. I read everybody's posts, not all of them, but I try my best. And I forward it to where it is. Say, here you go. Here's my consultant fee. There's what I earned. And there you go. Okay, go to here, go to E-Trade, go to Schwab, go to this guy. My friend texted me today. Schwab wants to borrow his finger motion and his CVM stock. I mean, they're still trying to borrow shares. And these wonderful companies that they hate, they want to borrow all the shares they can. I told you, one thing about Wall Street, once you start doing crazy stuff, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And they're doing exactly that. They're sticking out like a sore thumb. I spoke to a gentleman who has 1 million shares the other day. Called me up. Says, I didn't sell it at 7. I'm not selling at 6. I'm not selling at 5. I'm not selling at 4. And just a lot of people feel the same way. We all know what's going on now. And you know what? Everyone's taking their bet that we're going to get these guys. And we have the right enforcement people on it now. The SEC has no power over the people we bumped into now. And I'm sorry, I forgot to put this in the document. Just thought of it now. The tax implications when they don't cover, when they drive a company to zero. Since the government only recognizes the sell, there's no closing transaction of the buy. They don't pay any taxes on it because the transaction is still open. And the Secret Service works closely with the IRS. That's what I was told. So I don't know about you, but 27 trillion, if they don't cover it, if they do cover it, there's going to be a profitable position, right? and they'll have to pay tax on all that money, right? So at the end of the day, why wouldn't the U.S. government want to force that issue?
Not legal advice says he counterfeits his golf scores.
That's the best joke he's ever said. No, Richard, William told me that your best club is your pencil. That's what he told me. That's a different way of saying it. I don't play golf, so I have no
I don't
interest
play
in it.
golf.
It's too slow moving.
It's too easy on the knees.
It's too easy on the knees. Oh, God, I've been playing at night, and actually hitting the ball very well, but my knees bother me. So it looks like I'm going to have to go for the old surgery. So,
but that's in the spring?
In March. Maybe I can get Richard's knee. Your knee's probably good, too. You don't play sports, so maybe your knee's pretty good. I don't want to get someone's knee who did the same thing I did. I got to get a good one.
Yeah, the bodies are great until something goes wrong.
Oh my God! It's a nagging
Imagine
pain.
all your years that your knee worked perfectly for you.
It worked my whole life, which is, I played ball for 40 years every day, 10 hours a day, and I'm glad that I'm still have the opportunity to do it. Since I'm 15 years old, I've been playing. So I'm glad I could still do it. I just come home, I got to bite my lip because it does hurt. I put ice on it, take 2 Advil, and get ready for the next day. That's what happens. I got the gel shot. I'm working on stem cells. That's why I'm going to go back to Asia and see whatever I can do. I'm trying to do whatever I can before I get surgery. I'm trying not to do that. Maybe when I'm under, they can give me a smaller nose. My nose is like big, like Jimmy Durante's. For those of you who know, Richard would know Jimmy Durante.
You have an Italian nose. It's roaming all over your face.
Listen, Richard told me when he met me, he said, when I look up, it looks like a 2-car garage. It's so big. That's what he said.
That doesn't sound very nice.
That's what he said to me. And then he gave me some legal advice.
It's not like his schnoz fits less than 2 cars itself.
That looks like a bazooka, that thing.
I mean, he's got a 2-car garage and he's still building on.
Richard has a nose that says Chiquita on the side of it. Anyway, we're closing up here today. It's up 19 cents. They don't want it to go higher for whatever reason. I've always told you accumulation, and that's how you bury them. So it was offered at 74 the last trade. They closed it at 72 to save 2 pennies, William. They needed to mark it down. I'm sure it's 100 shares, and they sold it at 72. That's what the criminals got going for them. That's it.
Yeah.
And again, we've been doing this for a long time. You name it, I've bumped into people. We are at the gateway and as close as you can get to law enforcement. I promise you. And I expect to get dragged in this week. So they told me when you get the paper in, the follow-up is getting dragged in front of everybody. So I'll move it along quickly as fast because I don't think they ever had anybody that knows all the information like I do.
That's awesome.
I can actually read a cookbook and tell them everything about naked short selling while we're doing it. That's how.
And look how much practice you've had telling the story.
Yep. Listen, the one thing I'm glad about is that, like Richard, they're making fun of it. It's the same pattern. Everybody says, I get everybody saying every day, I know it's the same pattern. Everyone says it. It is the same pattern. I wish I could say it was different, but it isn't. Everything you see is just repeat and rinse. It's the same thing. You remember aftermarket, no one really plays. These guys try to mark it down, trying to steal a penny here, try to turn it red. That the game, it's over. The stock is red. Stay away. And you could see that slow accumulation, and it'll pop right back up. Once it goes through that 7 1/4, I did describe margin is why they attack. I did describe toxic loans, why they use that as a hedge. But once removed, there is no hedge, and that's what we've done. All right, you got everybody done? I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm beat.
Yeah, go take a nap. Thank you, Ham.
I don't usually read all day long. I've been reading for 3 days straight, and
And you're
everybody
on
knows
page 5?
that. And William can tell you, William, who do I write like? Who did you describe me as before?
You write like Hemingway.
Right, and my son said I write like Hemingway's brother, who was a drunk. That's what he said.
You take Hemingway to a new extreme. Brevity.
I put capital letters. I don't know. I'm trying to make a point. I don't know any other way to do it. People say I look like a serial killer putting any capital letters. If I were to send you a letter, I'd be probably cutting letters out of the newspaper like a murderer putting it out. But I try my best, and I think I did do my best. And I really do think that this is going to hit home. I laid it out going back from 1988, the cover of Forbes, through everything that we've seen over these last, until everyone, going to 2008, Christopher, Senator, what's his name? Chris Cox, the chairman of the SEC, describing it as fraudulent activity to the SEC, or are they going after the stock loan now for security lending? And I even touched on South Korea. Now it's all coming back to me, all the other things. How South Korea is upsetting the apple cart because once they secure themselves with no shorting, you can see all the stories coming out. How does it affect the U.S. with no shorting in South Korea? Well, that country is protecting itself and its investors
for 6 months.
And people outside of South Korea are all bitching and saying, "Oh my God, it's not going to work." Well, who do people say it's not going to work? I don't know any long.
It's just
say, "Oh, we need the shorts."
People from certain parts of the Middle East and Eastern Europe.
Well, the one thing I did describe in there is that everybody knows the crime, and it's, who in the hands of the right person, it could be enormous money for financial terrorists as a source of funds. They could just sit here and grab whatever they want. They need $100 million, just sell. And if we all know about it, trust me, they know about it. So again, it's a very dangerous situation for the country, and people need to be paying attention to this thing. So again, all the other nonsense that's going on in the world, I can't fix that. But this one, fix yourself financially, and then you can get the hell out of here and go where you want to go hide. That's my plan. All right, everybody, have a great night. I'm beat. It's 4:04. I quit, and we'll speak tomorrow.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Ham.
Call ended.
I'm red-faced. Oh, I'm red-faced. I hope I'm all right. Do you think I'm dying? I hope I'm not. But anyway, all right. I'll talk a little bit longer. This is gout. You can see this is actually, for me, a mild case. This has been in my hand now for about 10 days or longer, maybe longer. I can't type or anything. I can't do much. But this is the painful time. I don't know why, but this is the really painful. I'm taking colchicine and all that. And my guess is, from my experience in the past, I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be reasonably, maybe not tomorrow, maybe the next day, it'll be over with. But man, it's painful. All right. It could be all that. It could be my camera. I'm red back here. I don't know. I know as soon as we start living, we start dying. But yeah, I am tired about this criminality. And what's funny with CAUD, to me, it's obvious that the criminals are counterfeiting shares versus that toxic note. But there's a couple of people close to the company who think it's all legal. This selling will be over with. I don't think so. I think the risk in the stock is that the criminals have charged. They have the cover of that convertible toxic note, and the lawyers put it out. The lawyers don't have integrity. Not all lawyers, but and they put it out to the prime brokers. The prime brokers check the box. We can accept sale of these orders because that's the prime broker's not worried about the law. The prime broker's worried about, could we get into a situation here where we're financially at risk? Well, once the criminal's lawyer submits this document all over the street, the toxic convertible note, then the prime brokers say, oh, well, they're going to get stock. They'll have it eventually. Worst case, we'll just move the stock around illegally for a few months, but then they'll get stock and we'll be all right. And it's never going up, they say to themselves. Well, what I'm counting on for CAUD, they're going to announce management changes. They're going to announce their way forward. I hope they hire an attorney. I hope they go after it's just so obvious here. I started working on a letter to the NASDAQ, but unfortunately, I really can't type very well right now. So I know it's always excuses with me. It's always excuses. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, Mark. Mark, I agree with you. I agree with you, Mark. It's brand new. It's right there. It's 7 days old. It's older than Jenny Rebecca. Well, Medvedev took the first set off of Rublev. Oh my gosh, Lou. I don't have indomethacin. They give me, if I got it in both feet, they would give me steroids. You know the one. I can't think of it. Prednisone. They'll give prednisone and it'll go away. And I can leap tall buildings in a single bound. But it's the pain is like punishment. But I get it all over my body. I get it everywhere. And it's been a long time since I've had something particularly this bad. What's this? BBYQ. Well, let me see if there's a quote. I don't know if there is. It was you guys that taught me about this. There's no results. There's no results. It may be that the bondholders and the equity shareholders made a deal and it got through the judge's chambers. But it's possible. I was thinking, I don't recall that they said it would be a publicly traded company. It might just be a private company. I don't know. But I'm optimistic that whatever goes through a judge's chambers is cleansed of fraud, and maybe she got rid of the shorts. Yeah, it's not tradable. So it's there. At least maybe it'll I guess it can't cause a squeeze if it's not trading. Yeah. I never believed it. My Chinese friend and client told me, "You don't drink beer. Beer very bad for gout." I didn't believe her. And then one time when I was in London, I went out with my friends to the pub, and um, I had two pulls, of the, what do you call that? Guinness. I couldn't walk home. And I spent 2 or 3 weeks on a couch. So I stopped drinking dark beer, but now I don't drink any beer. Oh, I know. She was right. My you not ABC person. I ABC person. Zit, 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 she would say to me. But yeah, it's the oats, I think. It's weird stuff that causes gout, but beer is probably the worst of all. Dehydration. I'm probably getting this because I got sick and I was dehydrated. Um, anyway, it's not very interesting to me. It could be prescriptions. That's another thing. It comes when I'm stressed, and I was stressed. Yeah, that's right, Jenny. Jenny, Rebecca. So it's 4:14. Unless I see really scintillating. All right, I'll look it up. I'll bite. I'll bite. I shall bite. Oh, P. No results. So I don't know how to get a quote. But be careful. Everybody's talking about the dollar collapse, the economy collapse, everything's going to collapse. But the central banks are pretty powerful, and they've got the United States military behind them. So it's not going to go down without a fight. What you really need to watch if you want to be ahead of the panic is when the Fed loses control over interest rates. Or to put it a different way, when the bond market rolls over and dies. When the bond market goes, it'll change a generation of people's lives. Yeah, I'll get better. I'll be better as soon as I am able. Da, 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 na, 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 da, 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 da. Soon as oh, that's that Rocky Raccoon song. All right, so I'm going to just say goodnight to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. With CAUD, it's already down, what, 50 cents, 60 cents, 75 cents or something from when I was talking about it. But that's the risk in it, is the criminals control the damn thing. But we'll see what happens. I think they're getting ready to fight back, and we'll see. So, oh, all right, Mark, bye. When the bond market goes, you want to be a debtor, not a creditor of fixed debt, fixed rate debt. But people who invested in bonds will see real losses. They might not see losses in terms of their, if you write it down on a piece of paper, but that'll mean higher interest rates, probably high inflation, but that's another dynamic because high interest rates can counteract the inflation. But one of the reasons you'll see the bond market roll over is the Fed and the Treasury have flooded the world with US dollars, but the dollar is in demand still. But I think it's going to be war. I think we're going to start a war with Iran, and we'll blame it on Hamas or Hezbollah or something. But the one last country left where we can spread democracy is Iran. We've had such great success. Every other country. Look at Hillary Clinton's signature foreign policy coup, which was the destruction of Muammar Gaddafi. Man, wherever she goes, things just get better and better and better. Oh, Benny and the Jets. I have no knowledge of Finger News this weekend. Ham just said on the call, if you were listening, that he expects a dividend. Yeah, that's it, Jay Roach. That's it. All right, everybody. I'm going to say good night and thank you again. We'll come back on tomorrow. And I may not be on if Joker is playing. And whichever one of you said Djokovic is finished, he is number one in the world. He's number one in the world for the 8th time. And next week, 400 weeks at world number one. And he beat that prison name. He beat him at the U.S. Open. No, Cincinnati. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, Rosy Gray Glasses. All right, I'm going to go, I can't take another culture scene. I got to do something. This is my prediction, pain. All right, so peace, love, and happiness to everybody. If you think about it, still keep Jenny L in your prayers and her family. And let's pray for world peace. And we'll catch you tomorrow. We'll see you on down the road. Hey, Simply Sue. Hey, you got on just as I'm signing off, but I'm just in too much pain right here to carry on any kind of conversation. Plus, I'm trying to rededicate myself to not getting upset or losing my temper. And this will make me short-tempered. So anyway, catch you on the flip side.